All right, welcome back. Models of democracy. All right, so our first one, we're going to have three. We're going to talk about participatory democracy. To begin with, it emphasizes broad participation in politics and civil society. So the idea here is that we are thinking of people being actively involved, so citizen participation. So people should be directly involved. So direct democracy, participatory democracy go hand in hand with each other. This allows for majority rule. So this allows people to get what the majority of voters want is going to take place. So it wants lots of people involved in politics and be hands-on, directly involved. That's the good. The bad is, well, the weakness, I should say, rather than bad, is that it probably works best on a small scale. So again, why doesn't the US have direct democracy at the federal level? It's just too many people, and it's probably be too time consuming, and just all those kind of obstacles, people being informed, all that kind of thing would be very difficult. Maybe as important or more important weakness is that it could result in violation of minority rights. Because it relies on majority rule and the majority getting their way, again, sometimes a majority of people want to trample on the rights of minorities, on those that they disagree with, those whom they are simply numerically superior to. And so participatory democracy could allow that exact problem to take place. A contemporary example sort of is Occupy Wall Street. So it's the idea of the 99% and encouraging this broad participation in politics. It's not really direct democracy, but it is that idea of having people very involved and engaged politically. All right, our next model is pluralist democracy. This features group-based activism by non-governmental interests striving to impact political decision-making. That's a terrible definition. It's so wordy. The idea is of groups forming policies. So people coming together, forming groups, and being involved politically. Now, the good is that competition, so you're going to have multiple groups, and so competition among those groups should prevent any single group from dominating government. This we'll talk more about in Federalist number 10, but the idea is that it would protect minority rights better than participatory democracy because, again, you have so many different groups that none of them are able to achieve a numerical superiority or dominance, and so each group should be protected, including minority groups. Unfortunately, it is possible that you could have a particularly strong group, and that group might have disproportionate influence. So whether it's because they have more money or more members, you could have where you have a particularly strong group, and so you could have that problem anyway. A contemporary example would be interest groups. So that little picture there, it's kind of trying to show the idea of pro-life and pro-choice interest groups. Neither one dominates our policy because both sides and both interests are represented. So that's essentially the idea of pluralist democracy. Finally, we have elite democracy. This emphasizes limited participation in politics and in civil society. So it's actually the idea that people, yes, they should participate, but not necessarily that much. Representative democracy is a good example of this. So this is actually what the Constitution set up. So the Constitution established an elite form of democracy. People participate, but really just by voting for representatives. And then those people at the top, those people who are voted in, they really are the ones who make policy. So an obvious weakness is that the government could be dominated by the wealthy. People with high status in business, military, politics, etc. So we're talking about people who are very influential, more than the average person. So that is definitely a potential weakness of elite democracy. All three of these ideas we're going to discuss in a lot of detail and a lot of examples, don't worry. So this is kind of just giving you a basic introduction and primer to these three models. By the way, a contemporary example would be, like I said, the Constitution set this up. So Electoral College and congressional elections both embody elite democracy. This has been a La Money production.